Alrighty, so I've just recorded the artifact video, which should have gone up already. So I'm recording this now because it kind of, well, there's a bit of a correlation between the two. Alright, and that is when it comes to battle power, you want to work on that, you want to cater to that, so that way effectively you can also reap the rewards of, as you're powering up your characters, your account itself will get its overall power level, and from that, as you guys can see, you can walk away with a hefty amount of essence and a decent amount of gold, I'd say. I mean, it's 10k per, but it is what it is. But the essence right here is beautiful, 300 per. That's very nice to have. That's something that we need to cater to, because at the end of the day, it's just coming off from working on the account and making sure that we're maximizing our power level, not only with Jinwoo, but with the other hunters and even the army of the shadow. So I do want to kind of focus more on that, so that way you guys are also working on it, and then you're reaping the rewards. And of course, this will then fall in line with you being able to hopefully pulling and summoning for a future array of characters. So with that being said, where do we begin? So we'll start things off with the army of the shadow, because to be honest, when initially unlocking these characters, I really didn't think that there would be any type of effect, but just by getting army, so first things first, one thing what you want to do is you want to unlock preferably 3 army of the shadow characters. Once you unlock all 3, place them onto your team, because effectively they will be adding to the power level. So for example, if I do 2, as you guys can see, it does drop. So the key thing which you want to do initially when you get the shadow of the army and you have enough is you want to make sure that you've unlocked 3 minimum and get that team going, because they will boost up your power level a lot. And then from that, depending on what you need and what you want to cater to, you can work on it even more, and that will obviously help out with the power level and increasing that. Just an FYI, a lot of people tend to either go with the attack or the crit in terms of working on it. So obviously when it comes to the I guess the upgrade, yeah, there we go, the upgrade side of things, this is a nice way to kind of make sure that you're maximizing your power level depending on which shadow that you're mostly going to be using and working on, so just keep that in mind. Obviously, depending on how many of these shards you have, this will also effectively boost up your power level. So obviously my Igris is, he's a knight. I can get him to elite knight if I want to. I am considering it, to be honest, but I've got to make sure I've got enough for Tusk, and I'm probably going to go and get my blades to elite, of course. So again, this will effectively help me out in terms of the power level, and that is pretty much it for the army of the shadow. So make sure you've got 3 unlocked to minimum, and then from that point on, make sure that you're giving them growth depending on the one that you're using a lot. And then in terms of ranking them up, again, only go for the ones that you are going to be using a lot. And obviously make sure you've got enough to unlock the newer ones, so that way you can benefit from whatever they're going to be providing, it being like crit rate up, or core, in the case of Tusk, core attack damage up. So that's pretty much what you want to be doing in terms of the shadow of the army in increasing the power level. Now, another way to bump up your power level so that way you can get your essence and golds is weapon. Stating the obvious, you put levels into them, power level goes up. Stat wise, if you guys wanted to know, there's not really much of a difference between every single weapon, because it's the same stat all around. Just to give you guys an example, if I head over to slot 1, no, okay, well, if you look at the plum sword, 2500, 3750, 4000, and then the scythe is the exact same. So stat wise for the weapons, they don't change. It really is just what the weapon is providing that's going to be different, clearly. But another thing which of course you can do while you're leveling up the weapon, while you're duping out the weapon, is of course you can also level up the weapon itself. So if I head over to, for example, the Vulcan Rage, if I level up the skill, effectively that goes up pretty nicely. So that's, I mean, it's not going up by much, but I mean at this point every little helps, of course. So that's something that you can effectively also do to kind of work on the weapon side of things in terms of buffing up your power level. Now let's talk about Hunter's Weapon. Hunter's Weapon is also effectively giving you power level. So obviously with the power level side of things, it's not just Jinwoo that you're going to be catering to, it's the hunters that also are affected and also help you out in terms of reaching those big numbers for the battle tier. And with the Hunter's Weapon, as you guys can see, there's going to be 2 things that you only need to do. level up, that's going to be the basic, as well as dupe, which is going to be a little bit more tougher because it requires you to craft the materials and whatnot. So there's that, but predominantly it will be leveling up, unless you get like the SRs and whatnot. Then of course they'll help you out a little bit more, since you can maximize and awaken those a lot more easier, of course. But those are the only two ways. There's no skill leveling up. So obviously the hunter's weapon side of things, I do find it a little bit more difficult because you can only mostly level them up, because of course the duping side of things for the SSRs are somewhat hard to come by. But you can always rely on the SRs to actually do pretty decent. Again, stat wise, it's going to be the same in terms of what they're all providing, right? It's going to be all the same. Obviously, being a higher rarity, you'll get more for it. So just to give you guys an idea, do I have the axe? So if I 2000, 197, 561, and that's on level 20. So yeah, it just makes sense that stat-wise, through the higher rarities, you get a little bit more out of it. So there's that. So again, that's pretty much another way to kind of work on your power level. So obviously we've got the Shadow of Army, we've got the weapon side of things, of course. We also have got the main stats themselves. So Jinwoo will play a big role in terms of you being able to maximize a high percentage of battle power going towards the battle tier, of course. Stats will also effectively buff you up. So as you're leveling up your account, you're also leveling up Jinwoo. From that you get in points, and then from that you're also putting it into the stats, and that will effectively give you more power level. Now the most power level that you'll gain is from attack, from strength. So most people tend to, so realistically, and I'm sure most of you guys are already doing this, but it is advised, go a lot into strength. Precision, you want to make sure that that's at 95 or 95%. If you want to cater to crit, you can do so, but the most you'll get is from strength and attack if you are trying to maximize and get a lot of attack, if you're trying to get a lot of battle power. For whatever reason, the way Solo Leveling Arise works is that offensive gives you the most. I don't know why they've done that, because realistically, from games that I've played, when it comes to HP, typically HP gives you the most battle power, like most stats. But with Solo Leveling Arise, it's offensive stats that give you the most power. It's weird. Again, something different. Fair enough. I'm not going to complain. I mean, I'll take it so that offensive stats is giving you more compared to like HP, defense, and whatnot. But it's weird to see, because I'm so used to HP giving you the most stats in any other game that I've played. So there's that. But yeah, you just want to make sure that your position is, or perception, should I say, is at 95. What's mine at right now? I mean, the weapon also do play a bit of a role, because you can get an extra 4k, 2k from them. So mine's at 87, but if I put the right weapon on, it will shoot up to like plus 95. So that's completely fine. But yeah, cater to strength if you are trying to maximize your battle power. So there's that. Skills, yeah, this is kind of self-explanatory once again. You can level up skills, and from that will of course give you more points. So right, that's just kind of staying the obvious right there. So we'll also get all these to level 4, why not? And then I'll eventually get them to level 5. So yeah, if you can, try and cater to the skills that you use more often, or should I say more of the broken ones. But you can effectively work on any skill. So for example, I made a video talking about ruins and whatnot, and which are the good ones, and I've said in the video that I never use these, but realistically, if I just wanted to do this, there you go. So even with skills that you're not using, you can effectively use them just to raise up your power level. But obviously you want to cater to the ones that you are using, get them up, and then depending on how many scrolls you have, you know, if you just want to throw a cheeky 1 or 3, just to get some little bit of chip power level up, then you can do so. By the way, the blessing stones don't do anything, if you guys didn't know. So for example, if I put on a purple, yeah, so blessing stones unfortunately don't really hold any type of buff in terms of giving you more power level. What was my last one? Oh, I forgot. Now the biggest way to work on power level, again, it's going to be through artifacts. It's clear as day. You want to maximize on the highest rarity, being the gold version. You want to maximize on it being the highest level, being level 55, and then from that point on, you have to hope and pray that with main stats and sub stats, you can maximize the perfect gear set, and that's predominantly how it's going to be working, of course. So whilst you're getting the high rarity, once you're getting the high level, honestly, the equipment score, I mean, you can kind of look at that to kind of help you and give you guidance, but it really doesn't mean much. I don't know, that's my kind of look at it. So as I've said, if you can maximize on getting stats that are more on the offensive side of things, for whatever reason, it really does give you more power. So I mean, obviously looking at the difference here, obviously the game is saying, oh, the equipment that you've got on right now is the better one. And then if you, I mean, clearly all the stats are kind of showcasing that, obviously they're in the green. And so if I switch over, even though the equipment level is lower, it buffs me up. So yeah, so the game is saying this is the better one, when in reality, actually, wait, yeah, I can really cater to this. Wait, how far does my crit rate drop? Hold on a minute, let me have a look. I can actually utilize this, actually. That's pretty nice. Alright, well, there you go. So that's something to look into. So just take a note that offensive, if you have like a full-on offensive gear, like attack, additional attack, defense penetration, damage increase, then that, and like crit rate, that is what you call a full-on stacked artifact that will provide you with like the highest power level for that character. So yeah, for example, again, it's recommending all these, you know, HP, defense pen. Wait, which one had the crit rate? There we go. So HP, crit rate +2, defense pen, of course, you know, this is more desirable, but in reality, it's not. So it's a bit of a weird one. It's something that I'm trying to get used to, because as I've said, I'm used to games giving you more stats through HP, defense and whatnot. If you're able to get those as sub stats, typically you can get a lot more out of it in terms of power level. But solo leveling Arise does it the other way around, where if you're catering to offensiveness, then you can maximize your increase in stats. So that's why when it comes to Jinwoo, I'm really trying to maximize in just like attack, damage increase, defense pen, all that good stuff. Of course, once again, you can also effectively, with the hunter side of things, grow them even more stronger through the growth upgrade. So just like how it is for the Shadow of the Army, of course. But the way I've kind of gone about through the artifacts, it's the exact same way on how you're going to be doing that with Jinwoo, of course. So you want to cater to offensive power if you are trying to level up and maximize your power level. Again, just another example. Again, the attacking stats are in favor, and so it just kind of shoots up. So let me just additional attack, additional defense. I think I've got something better in the lower rarity mark. Yeah, so yeah, we'll throw this in here because this one's a lot more better. So 114 right there. I can change that up. And do I have anything? Damage, defense pen. Okay, that could be something. HP. Okay, so I would go for that, even though I don't need wind support right now. So that's pretty much that and how that's going to work. Yeah, that is pretty much effectively all the ways to kind of work on your power level, so that way you can work on your battle tier and eventually get yourself your 12,000 essence. That's in total on what they're giving out, and then of course your 400k gold. That's the current total.